Midrand, Gauteng, a place better known for its quiet surroundings and suburban calm, became the unlikely stage for a law enforcement operation few residents ever imagined unfolding behind its electric gates and money corridors. On a Tuesday evening, a multidisciplinary police task team moved with calculated precision, acting on intelligence patiently assembled over weeks. What at the time inside a modest, nondescript property in Blue Hills was not merely a stase of illegal good, but tangible proof of a sophisticated criminal network operating in plain sight. Hidden behind false garage walls and inside a deliberately concealed storage area lay 80 kilograms of cocaine, valued at the estimated 20 million rand, destined for Cape Town and intended solely for profit. At least one arrest followed, but the discovery itself sent a far louder message. This was not just an utter drug bust. It was a stark illustration of how deeply organized crime has embedded itself into the fabric of ordinary suburban life. For decades, the public imagination placed drug syndicates in abandoned warehouses, remote farms, or deca-industrial zones. That picture no longer reflects reality. Criminal networks have adapted, choosing locations that blend seamlessly into respectable communities, exploiting the assumption that such areas are insulated from serious crime. The Blue Hills smallholding was selected with strategic intent. It was close enough to measure ways to allow rapid movement of goods, yet distant enough from intense scrutiny to operate quickly. It is sat at the intersection of convenience and invisibility, a logistical sweet spot that allowed traffickers to move product efficiently while remaining largely unnoticed. This shift in operational strategy highlights a broader evolution within organized crime, one that thrives on exploiting regulatory blind spots and social complacency. The official statement from the South African Police Service was restrained and procedural, noting that crime intelligence had coordinated a multi-unit operation resulting in the seizure of 80 kilograms of cocaine. That was the version released to the public. Beneath those carefully chosen words lay a far more complex story, one involving cross-border smuggling routes, layered intermediaries, and a distribution network spanning provinces. The deployment of specialized units told its own story. Members of the organized crime unit, the Johannesburg Kappa Nova unit, and the local criminal record center were all involved, a clear signal that authority understood the gravity of the operation. This was not street-level dealing, it was syndicate-level activity, meticulously planned and professionally executed. Preliminary investigations suggest that the cocaine entered South Africa through a neighboring country before being smuggled across a border and transported across multiple provinces. Midrand served as a temporary storage hub, a crucial node in the chain, before the drugs were to be moving onward to Cape Town. This alone points to a network designed for efficiency and resilience, shielded by layers of individuals recruited specifically to distance the true masterminds from the physical evidence. The arrest of a 26-year-old man, identified as the owner of the property, may satisfy the immediate demands of the justice system, but it did not answer the deeper questions. On a scale of this magnitude, the property owner is unlikely to be the architect of the operation. He is more plausibly a link in a long chain, positioned to absorb the first blow shall law enforcement intervene. In large-scale trafficking operatives, storage sites are critical. Without secure locations to hold product, distribution chains falter and profits evaporate. The Blue Hills property functioned as such a site, enabling the syndicate to manage risk, time shipments, and coordinate movement across long distances. Disrupting this node matters, but it did not dismantle the network. It merely forces it to adapt, to seek out new locations, new routes, and new intermediaries. Tuesday's seizure was a meaningful victory, but it represents only one battle in a prolonged and evolving war. Several lessons emerge from this operation. The first and most important being the central role of intelligence-led policing. Reactive strategies, which rely on responding after crimes have occurred, are increasingly ineffective against syndicates that operate quickly and strategically. These organizations have few visible traces, embedding themselves within legitimate-looking structures and communities. Only sustained intelligence work, including surveillance, infiltration, and information gathering can reveal their footprints. Without such efforts, storage facilities like the one in Midrand can operate undetected for years, quickly feeding the illicit market. The operation also underscores the limitations of visible policing. Patrols and routine enforcement might deter petty crime, but they hardly penetrate the layered structures of organized syndicates. The involvement of Kappa Nova units and specialized organized crime investigators was necessary precisely because this was a high-level operation designed to evade conventional scrutiny. The choice of a quiet suburban setting signals a deliberate move by criminals to hide within middle-class environments, where suspicion is lower and scrutiny less intense. In DIGSO, they exploit social assumptions about safety and normalcy, blending seamlessly into the landscape. Equally inseparable from the drug trade is the financial infrastructure that sustains it. 20 million rand worth of cocaine represents not just physical contraband, but a future stream of illicit cash. That money does not circulate openly. It is laundered through shell companies, disguised property investments, funneled through informal networks, and even within complex financial arrangements. Seizing the drugs disrupts this flow temporarily, but it does not dismantle the system that enables it. Without aggressive asset tracing and financial investigations, the economic engine of the drug trade continues to run, even as individual shipments are intercepted. The existence of such routes and storage hubs raises uncomfortable questions about systemic weakness. WY Midrand, because oversight of small holdings is limited. Because these properties fall into regulatory gray zones, straddling the line between urban and rural administration. Because law enforcement resources are stretched thin, leaving gaps that criminals are quick to exploit. These cracks in the system provide fertile ground for organized crime, allowing network to establish operational bases with minimal interference. The intended destination, Cape Town, adds another layer of urgency to the seizure. The city has long been battered by gang violence, drug wars, and entrenched criminal influence. Removing 80 kilograms of cocaine from the supply chain could save lives, delay violent confrontations, and temporarily disrupt local distribution networks. Yet it would be naive to assume that this single operation will permanently alter the landscape. Syndicates adapt rapidly. Routes change, new storage sites are established, and alternative intermediaries are recruited. Without systemic reform, another Midrand-style operation will emerge elsewhere. This case also forces a reckoning with questions of accountability. Who financed the consignment? Who coordinated ETS movement across borders and provinces? Who owns the entire property serving the storage hubs? These questions extend beyond individual arrests and point toward broader issues of corruption, complicity, and regulatory failure. The public is typically presented with headline figures and brief statements, but hardly with a full accounting of how such networks form and operate. There is little transparency about how property ownership changes and without triggering red flags. How compliance failures are overlooked, or how infrastructure loopholes are exploited. In a country grappling with inequality, unemployment, and slow justice, the drug economy functions as a parallel system. For some, it offers opportunities that the legal economy does not, fueled by desperation as much as greed. The risks are real, but the rewards often appear to outweigh time, particularly in environments where enforcement is inconsistent and accountability elusive. This reality poses an uncomfortable question for policymakers and citizens alike. Are these seizure signs of progress, or merely the interception of leftovers while the core of the system remains intact? For every storage site uncovered, several more likely remain untouched. For every intermediary arrested, another can be recruited. This is the modern drug battlefield, quiet, suburban, and deliberately unobtrusive. It is cloaked behind respectable facades and protected by the assumption that danger exists elsewhere. While organized crime units in South Africa have made improvements, coordination between provinces remains uneven, information sharing fragmented, and funding inconsistent. Oversight too often remains reactive rather than proactive, allowing criminals to innovate faster than the state response. The midrand censure shall serve as a clarion call for reform. Intelligence-led policing must be entrenched as a guiding principle, supported by robust cross-provincial collaboration and sustained investment. Property regulation in high-risk categories needs tightening. Border control requires transparency, and financial streams must be traced aggressively to their source. Asset forfeiture shall be pursued relentlessly, not as an afterthought but as a central strategy to undermine the economic foundations of organized crime. For citizens, the message must be clear and credible. Communities need to see not only censures, but lasting change. Without visible progress, public trust erodes. People watch as living conditions deteriorate, gangs grow stronger, access to drugs increases, and fight in institutions weakens. The consequences of the drug trade are felt every year. In students exposed to drug-related violence, parents losing children to addiction, families targeted by crime fueled by dependency, and taxpayers watching resources disappear into both enforcement efforts and criminal pockets. A 20 million rand censure is significant, but in the context of global crime economics, it is a small fraction. The real measure of success lies in whether moments like this trigger structural change. Disrupting a storage hub breaks a link in the chain, but without reform, multiple replacements will quickly emerge. South Africa cannot afford to remain reactive. It must move decisively toward a proactive, intelligence-driven, systemic, and transparent approach. Quiet suburban plots can no longer serve shadows for criminal storage, and those who once again comfortably bind migrants' walls are now facing exposure. The silence that long protected these networks is beginning to fracture, and the challenge now is to ensure it breaks completely harder than closing again around the next Eden of.